In the world's most populated country, the stage is set for a major commemoration of a significant anniversary. That's our first story today on CNN 10. I'm Carl Azuz. Welcome to the show. The 1st of October marks 70 years since the People's Republic of China was established. That's the country's official name under the communist government that was formed in 1949, though China itself has existed for thousands of years. Despite the term People's Republic, the Asian country is actually the largest communist state on earth. And to celebrate its founding as a communist country, the Chinese government is holding a massive military parade through the nation's capital. It's expected to include 15,000 members of the armed forces, more than 160 planes, hundreds of weapons, all on display in the center of Beijing. Security's been increased, tourists say police are everywhere, roads have been blocked off, a major subway line's been shut down, drones and kites have been banned, and residents say there have been more restrictions on internet use in Beijing, with sites like Google, Facebook, and Twitter almost impossible to use. China's government controls the media as well as the nation's politics, and it wants to ensure nothing goes wrong during the parade. Ahead of the event, Chinese President Xi Jinping called for unity among China's people. One area the government's keeping a close eye on is Hong Kong. There have been protests for 17 weekends in a row in the special administrative region of China. Most demonstrators there have been pushing for more democracy for Hong Kong, and some protests have been violent, with civilians throwing gasoline bombs and bricks at police and setting fires, and police firing tear gas at the protesters, as well as warning shots and blue dye from water cannons. That's intended to make the demonstrators easier for police to identify later. China insists it has ultimate control over what happens in Hong Kong, and the Reuters news agency says China has increased the number of its troops in the city. They may be standing by in case protests well up during China's 70th anniversary celebrations. Across the Pacific, the United States is more than a year and a month away from its next presidential election, but a lot has already happened among dozens of candidates. For instance, 7 Democrats have dropped out of the race and 19 are still in it. Their party has already seen several debates. And though none are scheduled for Republicans, there are 3 candidates challenging President Donald Trump for the GOP nomination, though analysts have said they're unlikely to defeat the incumbent president. Still, how does the U.S. get from 19 candidates on the Democratic side to the one whose name actually appears on the ballot? That's decided through primaries and caucuses, which start early next year.
American politics is dominated by 2 parties, Republicans and Democrats. That means only 2 people have any real chance in the presidential election every 4 years. If you want to help decide who those 2 candidates are, the primaries are your best chance. The idea of actual voters participating in the primary process, it's relatively recent, as in New Hampshire didn't put candidate names on primary ballots until 1948, and those results weren't binding until 1952. It used to be that presidential candidates were selected at party conventions. It was mostly party members who selected delegates, who went on to a convention to vote. Conventions still happen, but they're mostly ceremonial since primaries have determined every candidate for more than 50 years. Here's where it gets confusing. Every state conducts their own primaries, and none of them do it exactly the same. They're spread over the course of months in a presidential election year, which is why candidates set up camp in early voting states like Iowa and New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada. If a candidate banks on Iowa and doesn't win there, they might have to drop out.
Democrat Martin O'Malley suspending his campaign tonight.
A surprising finish in New Hampshire can make a candidate blow up, on the other hand, and give him new momentum.
Tonight, we sure showed them what a comeback looks like.
Some states, like Iowa, have caucuses, which are more like neighborhood meetings than a traditional primary. People show up and actually lobby for their candidates. Some states have open primaries, meaning anyone can take part in the primary, even if they aren't registered party members. Other states have closed primaries, meaning you have to join the party in order to vote. And some states, like California, are experimenting with completely nonpartisan primaries, although not at the presidential level. The primary system has continued to evolve. After Bernie Sanders lost to Hillary Clinton in 2016, his supporters complained about the influence of party bigwigs tipping the scales. The Democrats have changed the rules for 2020 and given primary voters a stronger voice.
10-second trivia. Which of these cities is located along India's Arabian Sea coast? New Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru, or Kolkata? On India's west coast, you'll find Mumbai, a city with almost 20 million people. Pollution and overpopulation are two of the challenges India has struggled with, and combined, they created the perfect storm of garbage along a beach in Mumbai. It wasn't just because the local population was using Versova Beach as a dump. A lot of the trash was floating down creeks from other communities. The cleanup effort was started by a man who couldn't take it anymore.
This is not a landfill. This was Versova Beach in Mumbai, India, a little over 3 years ago. It was covered in over 6,000 tons of trash. After what the United Nations called the world's largest beach cleanup, this is Versova Beach today. It was a movement started and led by one man, Afroz Shah.
My name is Afroz Shah. I'm a lawyer by profession and I love oceans.
In October of 2015, Versova Beach was little more than a dumping ground on the west coast of Mumbai.
There were 5.5 feet of plastic. And when you see so much plastic juxtaposed to the ocean, it's scary. It's very scary. We have devastated the health of our ocean. Garbage pile up either on land or in ocean is a big issue, not only in India, world over.
So Afroz took matters into his own hands. He started picking up the trash himself.
I have spent my childhood here, I used to play here and the beach used to be very, very clean. For me, it was purely simple. It had to be my personal journey. Then I told myself it would be difficult for a single man to do it. So I said, why not take this personal journey to others? I provoked others to join in and eventually they did join in.
Since 2015, every weekend, hundreds of volunteers join Afroz to pick up the trash that has been strewn along a 2-mile stretch of the beach. And the volunteer work continues today.
We have been cleaning for past 112 weeks now, and it's almost 9 million kgs of plastic and filth out from the ocean. Beach cleaning is one of the biggest preventive action to prevent these plastic going into the deep sea. This is minimum we can do.
Through the use of trucks, bulldozers, buckets, whatever people can use, the beach has slowly been picked up. But the issue is more than just the beach. It's about the mindset of people. So, apart from the beach cleanup, Afroz also works with local communities to help educate them on recycling and proper trash disposal.
We go to coastal communities where, the littering happens, talking to them. I go to people's garbage. I tell them, show me. Then I tell them how to segregate, how to handle plastic. This is the first creek which is entering into the ocean from here. I'm proud that I'm connecting with people and I'm connecting with nature. That gets a very big sense of pride in my heart, This problem of pollution is created by us. We have lost a sense of belonging to our planet and to our ocean. A lot of people ask me, Afroz, how long are you going to clean? The day we say that this ocean is mine and it has to be spick and span, we'll not ask this question. In fact, we'll go and provoke others to do what I'm doing. We are in for a long haul, and every citizen on this planet must be in for a long haul. Start doing your bit, what we are doing.
Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! Afroz ji ki!
10 out of 10, why sit around like a bump on a log when you can roll one under your feet across the Mississippi River? That's what Alyssa Weatherby thought, and last Thursday, the professional timber sports athlete did it, rolling and floating on a synthetic log from Port Byron, Illinois to LeClaire, Iowa. Weatherby is said to be the first person ever to do this, and her husband says she's a great role model. We may not know how much wood would a woodchuck log if a woodchuck would log roll, but try as it maple, it could only pine away for the kind of record Alyssa set as she plied her trade, spinning from beach to beach while keeping her sea legs all aboard. I'm Carl Azuz, sprucing up another edition of CNN 10.